Hey guys, this week I'm going to make Black Suit Raph from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Adventures comics, and so let's get started. So I have two classic Raph figures. This one's a head-popping Raph, and he's perfect because he is all one hard plastic, where the other one's a soft head, and some of them have like soft other parts that are harder to sand and deal with, but this one I can just pretty much sand everything until I get the shape I want, or just to get started. Now I'm sanding on his body, the places where I'm going to add spackling and glue, then back to sanding. I'm using a cordless Dremel. It's not very powerful, but it's great for the little things that I do, and it doesn't have a cord, so it doesn't get in the way. So I really like it, but it's getting a little old. The batteries doesn't last super long. Now I have a little bit of 2mm foam. I just put a little piece on each side so that his head doesn't keep going up and down. And now to further seal it and also seal the crack, I'm using spackling. And this is kind of what it's made for, filling the small cracks and holes, so I can just fill it in and then wipe the rest off with my finger. That's a little bit of what he'll look like. But in the actual comic, in the costume, he's not wearing a mask or a mask underneath, and he's not wearing any pads. So that's why I sanded that, and I'm going to make the mask. I'm going to build out his face a little with the spackling, but I want to fill any cracks from where the mask was, or like bumps or whatever. And also, because he is not wearing a belt, I'm filling the belt area, or the area that the belt fills in, with spackling so that it looks like it's all part of his chest. But this black suit, I'm filling more spackling to build up his face, but in the TMNT Adventures comics were inspired by the cartoon that was made to promote a toy line inspired by the original comics, but they wanted to make it more kid-friendly, so then they tried to make a more kid-friendly comic. And it starts, I guess they're like wrestlers, and Raph's wearing a black suit, and then in the next comic he just keeps wearing the suit when the other turtles go back to normal. And I think it happens for like 10 episodes, and then again at the end of the series. But back to what I'm doing, I glued for the back of his shell some 2mm foam that I cut into the shape of the shell, and then I filled the cracks with spackling to build the shell, because it would have been harder to make that back pieces of his shell and leave the gaps using spackling, because it's not that thick and it wants to just move and spread if you put a lot on. But now I'm sanding and painting and sanding and painting, and for the paint I have its Vallejo black primer mixed with just regular black acrylic. It's an acrylic primer. And that, and like most of the stuff I use is Amazon, links down below. It's a process working with spackling where I just keep adding a little, and then I fill it in, and then I see a little more I want to do. And it's a lot of back and forth and sanding. And because he was a simpler figure and I didn't have to build a lot of accessories or anything, I had the time to keep going back with the spackling until I got it like pretty much perfect what I'm going for. So it just looks like a regular face with no mask on. Well, he's wearing a mask but no bandana. And then I cover everything with a matte acrylic varnish, and now I usually skip the eyes and just leave them, but I went with a pencil. And now I'm using a marker instead of a paintbrush, or a toothpick is something I like to use, making a little circle. But a marker, I thought it would be the easiest way to get a good eye. Now I have a Copenhagen blue, and I'm just dry brushing. I'm just imagining the lights coming from one side and then dry brushing some blue to add some blue, because that's how he's shaded in the comics, so that otherwise if he's all black you won't see him, just like you can barely see him in my video here while I'm painting him. And now I'm doing another round of the matte varnish to cover all the places I painted blue. And that's it. You can see them much better in the pictures here. I have a poll going, who's your favorite turtle, in the community tab if you haven't noticed that yet, but I'm curious. And I'm gonna do a diorama next week that I've been like waiting on, well, pushing to the side. But until then, always keep your head up. Thanks for watching. Peace.